If you're a Buffett nut like I am, chances are you've fallen asleep listening to an annual shareholders meeting, or caught yourself listening to it at work when most people would probably be listening to music. That's exactly what I was doing in 2018 when the very last question in one of these meetings jumped out at me.
We'll do one more. Station 11.
Hi, Warren, Charlie. My name is Adam Mead, Mead Capital Management from Derry, New Hampshire. In the past, you have touched on certain compensation arrangements with key executives. Could you please provide some specific examples of compensation arrangements within Berkshire that speak to incentivizing good behavior while not penalizing the manager for size or the relative ease or difficulty of the business or industry? Thank you.
Well, that is a very, very good question and a very, very tough question.
The gentleman who asked that question is Adam Mead, the author of The Complete Financial History of Berkshire Hathaway, and is the YouTuber behind the Oracle's Classroom. Even though he asked a great question, even having Buffett extol it himself, that's not what jumped out to me. What stood out was the fact that he worked 15 minutes away from where I lived. And it was at that moment I decided to swallow all my nerves and do what I've never done before. I was going to cold call someone to see if they wanted to talk about Buffett. So we went out to lunch and I was thrilled to finally talk to another Buffett head just like me. He was an amazing guy who recommended books to read and even offered to take me to a 2019 annual meeting. It was at the time where I told him that I was writing the Opportunity Cost Investing book that he shared with me that he was writing a book too, The Complete Financial History of Berkshire Hathaway. When 2019 annual meeting came around, I wasn't able to attend because I was being trained as an air traffic controller in Oklahoma City. So unfortunately I had to pass up on that offer, and now it seems like they're virtual. So it might not look like I'll ever get to go, but we'll see. Optimistic anyway. But that's not what's really cool. What's really cool is we stayed in contact with each other, which is why when he posted this LinkedIn post, I was able to see it, respond to him, and tell him that I was super interested in helping him with the project, which I knew was his book, but I didn't want to tell anybody, right? Did you see that part where he said someone knowledgeable? Man, did I have him fooled. But at least I was curious, and I wasn't going to let him down. So I offered to edit the book for him, and I spent every possible minute I could working on the book, and immediately I knew that he was onto something great with this book. And you don't need to take my biased opinion for it. And by the way, I'm not incentivized to do this. Adam actually doesn't even know I'm doing this. But instead, let's take the words of famed value investor Guy Spier, who said that this book is the most comprehensive and detailed analysis of Berkshire Hathaway to date. And it's a must-read that belongs on the bookshelf of any serious investor. And if you're still not convinced, let's take it from the words of Mohnish Pabrai, another legendary value investor who also had high praise for Adam's book. Pabrai said that few activities can be more rewarding for any value investor than studying the history and evolution of Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. He also said that Adam has done us all a huge favor with his yeoman efforts in producing this treatise. Since it is chronologically ordered, it is an invaluable reference guide for all things Berkshire. Alright, so we know a lot of investors really like this book, but what about it is different and brings so much value to the reader? Well, first of all, Adam Mead breaks up the history of Berkshire Hathaway into different decades, even extending to a time before Buffett's arrival, to a time where the clothing industry was in its beginning boom, up until it started to face inexorable headwinds, until a brief relief in World War II where demand increased only to be met with an unprofitable demise. And then Adam Mead walks us through the section where all the companies merged together to form the Berkshire Hathaway that Buffett saw in 1962 and started aggressively purchasing shares of. It was at this moment we start to see Buffett take the helm and evolve the company into the Berkshire Hathaway we know today. Some of my personal favorite moments were seeing how instrumental some of the earlier companies that Buffett found were to the success of the business going forward, such as National Indemnity, the Illinois National Bank, and See's Candy. I also learned a lot about banks and how they can usually have lower return on assets that translate into much higher return on equity because of their ability to leverage. Also, Adam isn't shy of sprinkling some of that notorious Buffett quips of humor that I absolutely enjoyed throughout the book. What sets this book apart from being just a boring history lesson is the sheer amount of analysis that goes into each page. And don't worry, you don't need a doctorate to understand any of these concepts. Adam Mead is very similar to Buffett in that he can take these very complicated topics and simplify them. So it's really easy to understand. Listen, if I can understand it, you can definitely understand it. What sets this book apart is he introduces more of the people, the environment, and the figures than any other book like it. It's like you have a mentor walking you through, hand by hand, the annual reports and the 10Ks. I only wish that I had a book like this for every company. No pressure, Adam, but, I'm waiting. All in all, I'm super proud to say that I was a small fraction, maybe an insignificant fraction, of helping Adam with this book. It is a wonderful piece of work that he put together for everybody, and I hope that you pick up your copy today. I put a link in the description below. Definitely check it out and definitely purchase one if you haven't already. But that's all I have for you in this video. If you found the content helpful, make sure you like that smash button by stalking our subscriber count and Liberty Bell, that notification icon. Until next time, and thanks for watching. I'm going this way.